thank you to all the honorable councillors that are here with us. And thank you to the members of the press. And thank you to everyone that is watching us on social media, on the different social media platforms. Just as the clerk alluded to, this press conference is precipitated by the disparaging and misleading information that were peddled in an interview with Standard newspaper by the Chief Executive Officer of Brikama Area Council, Mr. Modu Jonga. Now, the allegations, we felt as a council that these allegations should be responded, because the public deserves to know the whole truth, and they deserve to know nothing but the truth. And there are a lot of allegations that are made. Yes, you can understand if council taking a decisive action against anybody, which would, in consequence, would amount to them losing their job, you expect them to react in an adverse way, but you do not expect them to detach or disconnect that reaction from the truth. You expect them to tell the truth at all cost, because only truth shall set them free and set everyone free. So the CEO has made a lot of disparaging remarks on issues that which he said that is what the council had engaged in. Some of them, he said, are in contravention with the laws. And he cited some sections and some of the paragraphs from both the Local Government Act 2002, Local Government Finance and Audit Act 2004, and the Financial and Accounting Manual for Local Government Authorities 2009. So we'll go through the points one by one, and we will make reference to the allegations he made in the Standard interview and try to respond to them befittingly, because that is very important. As I said, truth shall set anyone who is the proponent of it free. And that is what we hope would happen here. So, Mr. Jonga may be entitled to react in any way that he wants to, but he is not entitled to mislead the public. That is very, very wrong. And that is exactly what he has done. So we start with what he claimed. He said the chairman had authorized payment of the sum of $148,000 as a honorarium payment for compliance officers. And he said this does not fall within the current approved budget estimate. That's what he said. It does not fall within the current budget estimate, and therefore we are in violation of Section 13(1) of the Local Government Finance and Audit Act 2004, and paragraph 4. He said section, but it is paragraph because it's not a legislation. It's paragraph 504 of the Financial and Accounting Manual for Local Government. So paragraph 4 is about control of expenditure. That is the guidance given in the manual. And paragraph 4 is talking about budget lines, so you do not spend beyond your budget lines. And that is in the Finance and Audit Act 2004. So the allegation is that this is not budgeted. So we have the approved budget that was sent. This is a communique to the ministry from the CEO himself. And this was on the 8th of December, 2022. And he was telling the minister about the approved budget of BAC for 2023. He said there was no accommodation of honorarium payment in the budget. But the reality is that that is not true. there's already been an allocation of 200,000 for honorarium payments. And that is here, yes. That is already here. We will provide that to you. But that is there. 200,000 has been allocated as honorarium payment for 2023. He said we paid 148,000. That means we still have 52,000 remaining as a balance on the budget. So that is blatant false. And this is deliberate too, because the CEO is also the custodian of all council documents. So he is in custody of this document. He knows what this document is saying, and he should have made reference to it when he is going to rely on it as evidence to throw aspersions against people, especially the council. So he should have checked to see whether there had been any budget allocation for honorarium payments. And if he had done that, he would have seen that that is in fact the case, and that honorarium payment has not been exhausted. So in essence, that is not true. That is misleading the public. And if you look at the reason why this council taken action against the CEO and made recommendation for him to be removed from here, one of the issues that we lamented in our resolution is that he has been misleading this council on several occasions. So it is unfortunate that he did not limit that misleading to just this council, but now wants to go and mislead the whole Gambian public about his own actions and his conduct and what he has been doing at BAC. So we, as a council, it is our duty to come out and let the public know that that is a false information, to say that there is no budget line for such. There is a budget line for it. And not only that, he mentioned paragraph 504 of the financial manual. If only he had gone a little bit back to paragraph 304, he would have realized that he, the CEO himself, through general council approval, can do virement. What that means is, if something that is of this important, because you know, compliance officers are very, very important. We were struggling to get even 50,000 from our market collectors on a weekly basis, 50,000 or 60,000 from them on a weekly basis. When we engage compliance officers to go in the field with them, we are scoring as much as 189,000 in a week. That's a huge difference for a council that usually limps. In fact, there's a language in this council. It's one of our council parlance. We call it limping period. That when we get to October, November, December, we limp as a council because we don't have enough revenue, and therefore we don't usually have money to pay staffs. And we will come to that because he made reference to taking loans from JAOL in order for them to be able to pay salaries for November 2022. So the CEO, if only, and this is one of the things we stated in our resolution, that he is incompetent. And I think that is what he had proven here. Because if he is competent and understand the financial manual that he made reference of, he should have known, or he ought to know, that there is an option of virement available to him and the council whenever we are exhausting whatever that is in our budget. So if your honorarium allocation is going down, you can look for other allocations that you've made under the same heading. So we are talking about recurrent here now. Under recurrent. So you look under recurrent. What other allocations have we made that which we have not used? To start with, in that budget, we have allocation of 100,000 for miscellaneous. That can mean anything, and that has not been used. They allocated 500,000 for uniforms. I haven't seen any uniforms that is been given to even the security or the police in the whole of this year. They have not been issued with one uniform. So that means that 500,000 is not used. So you have compliance officers. These are youths. That which, as a council, we are creating job opportunity for them. And contrary to what he would want others to believe, these are recommended youths from the councillors, because we ask councillors to provide at least two, 3 volunteers to help us to become compliance officers and be able to make sure we maximize our revenue and we stop leakage of our revenue. We stop people pilfering our revenue from us. And they've done a very good job at that. They're really doing a great job. So, and when they started it, literally some of them have to travel to Brusubi Tone Table, some have to travel to Lameng, some have to travel to the different market zones and areas. And they would spend the whole day following the collectors just to make sure that the collectors do not cheat and defraud the council. Now, we are giving them a token of, say, 3,000 at the end of the month. Jonga, who said he'd spend whole of his career dedicated to West Coast region, isn't that something that he should be proud of and take pride in? That he has been able to create job opportunity for at least 49 youths? But let me tell you what has been happening and why unkind people like him do not understand about creating opportunities for people. They had their own kabudus. He is more than happy signing letters for Mr. Jeng and the rest of Jeng's families to be employed in this council. But everybody else who has a little opportunity here is something that he hates and loathes very much. And this is a council that belongs to the people of West Coast. So many of our kids, just last week or last month, we lost as a region over 50 people through the back way. We're trying to create jobs for them, an opportunity, hope for them here. And who better leads that than the council, their local council in this region? But you, when you have an issue because you've been pushed aside for your own conduct, the people you want to fight is that of 49 young people who are trying to make a career, have a stepping stone of a career ladder in their lives. Those are your problems. That is what he is complaining about. So he made reference to, he said, this is in contravention of Section 13. It cannot be, because it's already allocated. There is a budget line for honorarium payment which is not exhausted. It's 200,000. If it is exhausted, he needs to come out and tell us what was spent as honorarium payment, which exhausted it. How did this happen? How much money? Let him come out clean and tell the whole region about all of that. But to come out and say it's not allocated, that is just a lie. It's in the budget. And we can provide that to any media house that is interested in having that fact, because the facts are here. They don't lie, and they come from he himself. So that is the first point. And the second point, he mentioned contract committee. He said, General Council, spearheaded by the chairman, override the contract committee's request for more time to diligently scrutinize proposal to introduce digital tax administration. These two is complete, utter false. No iota of truth in it. What he failed, you see, the man is very cunning. In the beginning, he wants to cite and rely and make reference to legal provisions to support his arguments. Where the legal provisions don't support his arguments, he made no reference to them. This is the whole fact. Because contract committee is a subcommittee of the General Council, just like every other committees that we have. The law under Section 34, 8, and 9 of the Local Government Act clearly stated, and I will read this for people to hear it. It says that the Council may, subject to the provisions of this Act, delegate such of its functions to a committee as it deems fit. Just like in this case. Council said, contract committee, go and check this contract for us and then come back with your recommendation. But the final decision is the council. But subsection 9 went further. It says, the delegation of any function of council to a committee shall not prevent the council from exercising those functions. That is very clear. If you delegate it to any subcommittee, it doesn't prevent and shall not prevent you, the council, from making that decision that you asked that committee to do. So our good, very good lawyer CEO, who made reference and relied on section 13 and paragraph 504, in the first part of his aspersions, decided to omit the provisions of the law that dealt with this particular issue, and that was pointed to him in the council. But he decided to omit that because simply that doesn't favor his narrative. He wants, the whole idea of this is put out a narrative that makes the council look bad and let the public fall for it. Despite the fact that it is falsehood, I am misleading them, but I couldn't care as long as it is my narrative that sticks. This is his whole objective here. And we will elucidate on that, and I believe the public will see his dubiousness, and as a reason, one of the main reasons why he is not fit to be a CEO for a very big region like West Coast, and one reason why we have not been able to register any meaningful development for the last many, many years that this man had been a CEO in this region. So council acted within its powers to say, we've heard 3 different people that came here and gave us this digital platform, and we decided that that particular company, they were the best deal for us. They're 3 million, the rest are 8 million and other millions plus, and they were going to create an onboarding system for us, which they introduced to us, that which the other people didn't even know. We had to tell them, well, hold on here, that is what we want. Because we had a digital platform here, and that digital platform didn't take us any further because we did not have a pre-existing data. But we had a company that says that they can do onboarding, and this company introduced us to that one, and we know that can be done, and that's exactly where our problem is, and we want to solve that problem. So the council acted within its powers, as I made reference to section 34(8) and 9, subsection 8 and 9 of the Local Government Act 2002. So my advice to the estranged CEO is, if you want to be a lawyer, you go to law school. Don't just start quoting off head. That's not how law works. So he then mentioned about loans. That is also one of his allegations. He said, he further alleged that on 27 July 2023, the General Council, headed by the chairman, passed a unanimous resolution for a loan policy for only council members, thereby not considering the staff of council. This is also very big misleading statement. This is a document from BAC's loan policy that exists here. In that policy, CEO Modu Jonga has taken a loan of $500,000. He is paying us at the 25th of July 2023. He paid only, he is paying $3,726.32 every month. And he has a balance of $493,050 is 41 bottles. If there was no such loan policy for the staff, how did he manage to get hold of this money? Did he steal it? But in the document, it says loans, BAC loan, apply, repay. That document is also here. It has a list of all the staffs who are taking loans. And at the moment, staffs have taken a loan at the tune of $3,482,691. That is the loan outstanding from our staffs. No councillor is part of that loan scheme. They cannot apply. It doesn't apply to them. They cannot do any such thing. If councillors want a loan or anything of that sort, they would either go to the banks or they borrow it from friends. That was the reason why a loan policy was brought in and resoluted for councillors. But it is also has a lot of caveats. It has a lot of conditions to be met. First is that the CEO and the finance director have to confirm that they have the funds to give out that loan. And the loan is not more than $100,000. And they can only take $100,000 in the first year of their term as councillors. In the second year, they cannot take $100,000, they can only take $75,000. And they will have to be paying this because it's automatically deducted from their allowances. So the final year, they can only take $15,000. All of that safeguards are taken because we want to make sure that they are able to pay and council doesn't lose out of the money. That is the loan scheme. He has $500,000 that he's taken as a loan. He's complaining about councillors who do not have that. But that tells you the sort of CEO we have, you know. He doesn't want to, prior to that, councillors never heard anything. But he is complaining about councillors having that. You see what I mean? Even that loan, hardly, councillors have applied, but they've never got anything. Because when they apply, he said there is no fund. But that is one of the conditions. It says he has to approve that. He and Director of Finance have to prove that there is fund, sufficient fund to pay. If the sufficient fund is not there, councillors just accept that there is no fund for me to get it. So they cannot get that loan. They don't have access to it. But he and his staffs, they just give themselves whatever loan they want. You see what I mean? They give themselves, because that should have been, normally they should have a loans committee that should look into this. But the CEO arrogated all that power to himself. You see, we call Jonga the alpha and omega of BAC. He was like the chairman, the CEO, the director, the everything, HR manager, everything. He does literally everything of BAC. The staffs are terrorized by him. You ask a staff, can you go and do this? Like a chairman says, hey, somebody said that they have a waste or illegal dumping on at their site. Can you go and clear it? Have you spoken to the CEO? That's the response you get. And I'm like, hold on here. Is CEO my boss or I am his boss? And they'll be like, well, I don't know. I said, I am his boss. I don't go and ask him. Tell him to confirm it with me. I'll tell him I asked you to do it. But that is how BAC has been running. Because the CEO was having a chairman here who wasn't fit to be a chairman for, I don't know what to say, a primary school, much more the council here. So as a result, the CEO does everything that he wants. So the next allegation he made, he said interference in staff matters. That is the other allegation he said. He said the chairman, since sworn in office, has made multiple attempts to interfere in staff matters such as redeployment and recruitments without due process, contrary to his functions, duties as stipulated under Section 15, 1, 2, 3. You know, the CEO, he has the old version of this one, which says that, because he has told me several times, he said, your role as the chairman is to supervise the general administration of the area. Not even the council, but the general administration of the area. That's how he likes to put it. But he failed to understand that there was an amendment done to this act in 2006 that under 2B clearly stated that the chairman shall be the head of the council and supervise the general administration of the area, including dealing with its rules, regulations, and taxes. But not only that, it went further. You see, you don't read law in parts. You read it holistically. When it goes to his CEO's own functions, the law said to the CEO, the chairman, the law now clears, is the head of council. Yeah? Together with the councillors, they are council itself. But the law also went and said to the CEO, your function is, you are answerable to the council, and you shall report to the chairman. And not only that, he said, you are under their direction and control. So, If someone claims to be the one that is responsible for the staffs, and he's the one, he said, I have the exclusive rights of staff matters, but you are under my direction and control, and you are reporting to me, you are answerable to us. How can you say that we cannot direct those staffs or direct you and all of those staffs to do what we want you to do? But it boils down to what I said. He is incompetent. He doesn't even know his TOR. If you do not know your TOR, you then make conflict of issues when there is no need for such. If you're controlled by me, your directions and everything are controlled by us. You and your staffs, whatever you do, you need to come to us. In fact, your role is to implement decisions that we make. If you're implementing those decisions and it's not done right way, who better knows that policy than the one that makes it? And you said that person cannot interfere into the staff matters because you have the exclusive rights. But he failed to understand that he, as a CEO, because the council, the way the organograph works, he, CEO, runs the admin side and comes directly to the chairman. Audit doesn't come to the CEO. They run admin side, they run the audit team, and they go straight to the chairman. Police and the commissioner of police runs from this side all the way up to the chairman. So staffs under him, collectors, if they want to go with the security, who do you talk to and take permission from? It's the chairman. The chairman has to take the police commissioner because that person doesn't report to you. He's directly under the chairman. You and them are on the same level. So if you want one thing communicated here and there, the apex, the head is up there. It's like telling a president of a country, you cannot tell staffs what they need to do because the PMO is responsible for the staffs, or the Secretary General is responsible for the staff, but the Secretary General is under the president, isn't it? That's how the structure works. But when you have an incompetent CEO, it's very difficult for him to comprehend it. And you literally have to school him every day for him to understand it, but it's very difficult. And for him, he totally controlled all the staffs as he was doing, because then he was stepping in too many shoes. He was both CEO, he was both the chairman, he was doing everything. He commands the police commissioner on what to do. He tells the audit what they need to do. Literally, he was running everything. But despite having that monopoly over everything, the people of West Coast have not seen anything for it. That is the situation. So that allegation is baseless. We are not interfering with staffs. We are trying to make our staffs a lot more productive for the best interest of our people, because they are the ones that we are accountable. This is how it works. We are accountable to the people who elected us. They are accountable to us. That's how it has to work. Because if they're not accountable to us, how do we make the system work? How do we make it, the council, to become a service delivery for our people? The people who are supposed to deliver the service are under someone else's control. It cannot work like that. So we are accountable to the people. If people want anything, they come to us. We tell them, go and do this for our people. That's how it's supposed to work. If it doesn't work like that, then there will be a break or disconnect in the chain, and that will not work. So he doesn't understand that, and he needs to be taught about it. So we are teaching him. If you're watching, and I know he's watching, this is a lesson for him. Listen to that, you know. So he also said verbal contract. You see, he doesn't understand. Contracts everywhere in the world are normally established through written or oral. In fact, 99% of contracts that are entered in a day in any given society is done through oral agreement. If you go to a shop to buy something, you are entering into a contract. But that is done orally. So what matters in any contract is when the people understand what the terms are. But this one, in fact, he is just lying about it, because this was not only oral contract. This is a written contract that Finnish Tech came and signed for it, and then we went for this one. So this is the one that he also mentioned about Finnish Tech. So he said in this contract, he said, Jonga accused the chairman of entering into a verbal contract with Finnish Tech construction company to provide 2 vacuum tank trucks to drain flooded markets, secondary roads, and streets during the rainy season for the months of June, July, September, August, October, without the involvement of the contract committee. That is a blatant lie. Contract committee sat over this thing. And Jaman Kamara is here. Jaman is a councillor who is part of the contract committee. They sat on this thing in June. And not only that, it also came to the general council floor. Because this was a contract that nobody in the council could go against. We were in the rainy season. One of the biggest problems we always experience in Brikama is the flooding of our market. And this year, we said that is not going to happen. And Jonga said 1 million, he said the contract is going to cost council 1,027,000. He wants the public to think that this is a huge lot of money. But you know what? In the budget, 6.5 million was budgeted this year for Jonga to get a septic tank. Where is the septic tank? It's nowhere to be seen. We came in June. This should have been acquired since January. It's budgeted, it's given to him. Get people of West Coast a septic tank. He decided not to have it. We came in and we found ourselves in a rainy season and there was no septic tank. But we know that there's a lot of money budgeted for it. We had 6.5 million. If we had a septic tank, what was it going to do in the rainy season? It was going to drain the market. It was going to drain the streets, exactly what he said these septic tanks were supposed to do. But this was the cheapest deal because when we came in, the first day it rained, the first day I went into the fish market and saw that nasty water there, I paid almost 38,000, my own money, and I never claimed that money back from council. I paid that from my own money to drain that place. 38,000 just one day. Just one day. These septic tanks were draining those places for a whole week for 20,000 and 30,000, 2 of them, 50,000. For a whole week. When it rains, they will go and start with the mosque area, the cassava junction, and then they will go to the fish market when the market vendors have started going home. We did that, we were doing that on every day, because when you are to take septic tanks, when you are to hire it, they charge us 3,500 per trip. These vehicles were doing almost 20 to 30 trips in a day. 2 of them. One will do 15, the other will do 10 there, or they will do 15 or 16, sometimes even more. Sometimes they are here until very late in the evening. But even that was not enough. We wish we had our own septic tank. Because if we had our own septic tank, we would have gotten 2 or 3 teams. First team will go in the morning. When they finish work, second team comes in the afternoon. Another team come in the evening. Then we would be able to clear a lot of other places. When we said septic tanks can do this job, many people thought that we were just bluffing. But when it started, in fact, the market people almost on a daily basis, the moment it rains, the first thing you get is market people calling you. Where are the septic tanks? We are flooded here. We need this water drain. Everybody got used to it. So the septic tanks would just go and drain everywhere. When you get into the market, you wouldn't think that it had even rained, but it did. In previous years, people have to live with those waters in the market for months and months, for the whole of the rainy season. This year we said we are not having it. And not only that, the septic tanks helped us to clean police, the hospital, Yundum barracks. These are their letters. All of them writing. This one is from the police. I write on behalf of the staff of Brikama Police Station to express our appreciation to you through Honorable Mane. They meant Honorable Jao. Honorable Mane of Nyambai Ward for the assistance given by draining the sockaway in the station. On Saturday, the 8th of July, Honorable Mane dispatched a tank to empty the sockaway. This gesture came at a moment when we were wondering how to best solve the problem. Despite this intervention, the sockaway is still full, is full again, suggesting that there is a fault somewhere in our plumbing and sewage system. Yet this is just one of several challenges facing our police station at the moment. With this issue in mind, I would like to invite you to visit our station to see the condition under which police personnel are compelled to work. This is from the SO of the police station telling us that. The military police, a request for military truck, for sanitary truck for the Gambia Armed Forces Military Police Office at Yundum Barracks. The Office of the Chief of Defense Staff of Gambia Armed Forces presents its sincere compliment to the Chairman of BAC and I have the honor to request for the above mentioned subject for the Gambia Armed Forces. The list goes on. The paramilitary at Brufut, the hospital in Sibanor, which had never heard. They said the hospital was built since in the 70s, but their septic tanks have never been emptied. Until this year, we are supposed to go and empty it. That is the importance of septic tanks to us in this council and to the people of this region. So, Jonga said, we spent 1 million on septic tanks. I said, alas. Finally, we spent 1 million on the people of West Coast this year. Because we have not spent anything on them. What else have we spent this year on the people of West Coast? Nothing. From January to now, all the money had been spent on Jonga's travel, Sirifo's travel, Jeng's opulent lifestyle. Nothing else was spent on the people of West Coast. But at least, thank God, they can say we had benefited $1 million from our revenue, which was plowed back to us through the septic tanks. So this is something we are proud of. But we say, it is the misrepresentation for him to say that that was done through orally only. But even if it is done orally only, contracts are usually entered orally or written. And this was not done orally. This was done written. Written contract was given to Jonga himself. He still refused to sign his part. We don't know why. But he should sign it. Because, and those companies up to date have not been paid a penny. None of them have been paid a penny. But each day, I don't know whether you pass it, there is one that is standing outside there. If we need anywhere, we tell them go and clear that or drain that place. They will go and drain it. Go and drain there. In fact, council's own markets, we had to go and drain it.
They are right now at the fish market.
Okay, they are right now at the fish market, draining there. But that is service delivery. That's what councils are supposed to do. Nobody in West Coast can fault us for spending that money in draining our markets and mitigating the challenging lifestyle that our people had to endure during rainy seasons, in this rainy season. And next year, unlike what happened in the past, next year we hope to have our own septic tanks, and I think it is budgeted. We hope to have our own septic tanks, not just one, but 2 of them, because we realize that that is very important. Just like garbage trucks, we cannot go without septic tanks. And these septic tanks were all part of this Seneha project. And this CEO, just as incompetent as he is, doesn't even know that that exists as part of that project. So he then went on to allowances. This is where it becomes even more interesting. The CEO said, on 13 July, under the leadership of the chairman, the General Council passed a unanimous resolution to increase its meeting allowances from 1,500 to 2,500 bi-weekly. The monthly allowance for the chairman is increased from 18,000 to 25,000. The deputy chairman from 9,500 to 20,000. You see how much that has leaped. From 9,500 to 20,000. He went on to say, councillors from 6,500 to 15,000. This is incredible. This is very, very sad. Because I have a letter here, and I will share this letter with you. This letter was written by CEO Jonga, and he sent this letter to the ministry. But this is what he said in the letter. He said, I write to convey a second general resolution dated 22nd June 2023 on the increment of monthly allowances for the chairman, deputy chairman, councillors, and the monthly general council meetings for the Honorable Minister's consideration and approval. He said, in the said resolution, the General Council proposed the Council to pay 15,000, Deputy 20,000, Chairman 25,000, and then the sitting 2,500 from 1,500. He said, the said resolution and proposed increment are herewith attached for your kind consideration. He went on to say, an earlier letter was sent to on the 16th of February 2022 for the Honorable Minister's approval on the same subject matter. Now you all heard what he said. He wrote that. An earlier letter was sent to your ministry on the 16th of February on the same subject matter. A copy of the previous correspondence is equally attached. That correspondence of 16 February is also here. And in that one he says, I write to convey to you the general resolution dated 14 February 2023 for increment of councillors' allowance for the Honourable Minister's approval. The names of the councillors that signed the said resolution and the proposed increment are herewith attached for your kind retention. He then attached the resolution. But you know what is funny about that one? It says, currently, this document, that he himself sent this to the ministry. He said, monthly allowance for the chairman, for the councillors. He said, councillors, the current allowance, he's talking about February. He said the current allowance is 13,000. Proposed increment is 2,000 to make it 15,000. That's what his document says. Jonga himself wrote this and sent it to the ministry in February. But Jonga, in the interview with Standard, said, we increased it from 6,500 to 15,000. But at the time of his own letter, he said councillors were receiving 13,000 and there was only an increment of 2,000 from 13 to 15,000. And then he also said sitting allowance. Exactly. It wasn't the current council because we came in June. Yeah. But Jonga wrote this in February to tell the ministry that this is the increment. But Jonga, when he was writing this, he wants the whole world to see. Huh? Yes, he's owing the councillors 10,000. Yes, the old councillors, because he refused to pay them. So he said, yes, he said in this one that it is the chairman who increased it from 6,500 to 15,000. What a leap. But in February, when he was writing to the minister, he told the minister, councillors' current allowance is 13,000. And the proposed increment is 2,000 for it to be 15,000. He then said, sitting allowance for the councillors was to move from, was at the time 1,500 and the increment of 1,000 to make it 2,500. He said the vice chairman, remember what he said the vice chairman was at? He was at 9,500 and they want to increase it to 20,000. But in this letter, he said the vice deputy chairman is at 17,500 and an increment of 2,500 to make it 20,000. So you see how misleading Jonga is to the public. But this is his own letter. And he's the custodian of council documents. How come he forgot about his own letter that he wrote on the 27th of June and attached this to the ministry? So he also went on, he said, chairman's allowance at the time he said was 21,000 per month. And he said, increment of 4,000 to 25,000. So, but in here, he said chairman's allowance jumped from 18,000 to 25,000. This is his own. So this is not something that we brought in. This was brought in by the previous council and resoluted, and it was sent. But before that, the previous council budgeted this. This is already budgeted in 2023. The councillors, Mudlamin Sanyang is here, Diba is here, they had to go to the ministry to defend this. The ministry approved it. It became our budget. Jonga sat on it, and you know, this is what was so annoying with Jonga. Jonga makes decisions, like I said, he's the alpha and omega of this institution. He makes decisions willy-nilly, anyhow he likes, and then it becomes final. So he sat on this, he said he will not pay the councillors that amount of money. We said to him, hold on here, that works on the Sirifo's days, but this is my day, this will not work. And this council now, we're not taking it lightly, we'll pass a resolution. If you go against our resolution, we get rid of you. But you have to pay what is agreed and resoluted, and it's gone. But to also make so it becomes stronger, we said it's not going to be just chairman saying it. All the councillors, let's vote. Every councillor voted for it because it's a resolution that has to be respected. And we cannot say because it was a resolution done by the previous council, we are not going to honor it. No, if the next council comes, they can also say about the same thing about our resolution and will not adhere to it. And that is bad. Council resolutions, council is a continuity, just like a government. When we make decisions, they are supposed to have a binding effect on the next council. So we told him to increase it. But Jonga blatantly and deliberately had no saying, no honor, no integrity. Wrote in the media, maybe he will come out and say, I did not tell that to Standard. They wrote it themselves. Because he wrote it here. He said we moved it from 6,500 to 15,000. But in his own letters to ministry, which he CC'd to my office, he is telling a different story. But that's the sort of person he is. It was so unfortunate for the people of West Coast to have a pathological liar as its CEO. And that's how it is. And now it is proven to the whole world that this is what has been happening. So he went on, the next allegation he made, and he said this was in complete contravention of Section 12 of the Local Government Act. We increase our own salaries, everything, you know. How can it be when the minister himself and the ministry approved the budget, and it is in the budget, that this is what it's supposed to be paid? But you know why we had to go after him is because at the same time when we came in, we realized that he was withholding these allowances. So you see what was happening is, the chairman, Sirifo Sonko, when he was here, he was getting paid 18,000 while Jonga is paid 29,000. And the director of finance, who is the director, below everyone, he is paid almost 35,000. How is that even possible? When the chairman is supposed to be the head of the institution. But it tells you who are the most powerful people. Jeng is more powerful. For obvious reason, Jeng has the whole of his clan and everybody who is from his lineage in the council. The council become no longer Brikama Area Council, but Brikama Jeng Kundak Area Council. So Jem is the most powerful, so he gets more pay. Jonga is the second most powerful, Jonga gets the second highest pay. And the chairman that was here, who doesn't even know his left, right, and center, he got paid by whatever amount that was given to him. So the next one was, he said revenue. He said the chairman through Senior project, he went on to approve his own, they printed their own printing at the council when it's supposed to be done by GPPC. You see, funny enough, on this part, he didn't cite any law. He said there's a ministerial executive directive from the ministry that all revenue should be done through GPPC. But when he came to my office, I asked him to bring that ministerial directive, just like everything else. When you want to find a document that BAC owns, ask Jonga, you will never find it. And he's the custodian of all records of BAC. We had an issue with Tambana. He said Tambana is, because Tambana, he said it's council owns Tambana. And Bulundala said, no, it's not owned by Tambana. Tambana is owned by Brikama Bulundala. We gave it to you for you to dump there. Jonga said, no. In fact, we had our own side. We had the mapping of it. I said, go and get me the map. That became history. He still cannot find it. Because he cannot find any document. In the last council sitting, our own substation office in Bruceby, where we had entered into a contract. So this, he's accusing us of entering into verbal contract. He had a contract, a tenancy agreement with the landlords of that substation. And we asked him on the 10th of this month, or last month, October, to provide us with a copy of that, of the detail, because some of the subcommittee members went there and they found that there are arrears owed to the owners of that office. He said he's not aware of it. But you are supposed to know everything. You are the CEO of the council. You're supposed to know everything. He said he's not aware. He's been asked to find out. He said the head of the substation was on leave. He couldn't find out. He was waiting on that person to come, for him and that person to go to the landlord in order to retrieve the contract that they entered with the landlord. I mean, what kind of CEO is that? You don't even have your tenancy agreements. You don't have your leasehold agreements with private enterprises or private property owners. And you are being told you are owing, you don't even know what rent you're supposed to be paying. But that is the sad situation we find. That's why we said this man is completely incompetent. So with the Senate tickets, he went to GPPC. He said it was going to cost us 500,000 plus to print the tickets. And then the IT department says, these tickets are very simple. We could do them here without incurring that much cost. And this is a new venture we are entering into. We don't know whether we are going to get any money or people going to rebel against us or anything of that sort. Do you take such a risk? We told him, no. We will go with the cheaper deal. Because if it can be printed here, we will go with that. He said, no. Revenue has to be printed by GPPC. We said, bring the law. If the law said it has to be printed by them, we'll go and print with them. He brought a preamble which says, if you cannot do it internally, you can go to GPPC, but don't go to any other party. That's what that letter said, that preamble said. If council cannot print anything, it has to go to GPPC, not to any other third party. I said, yes, that is loud and clear. But this one we can print internally. Why should we go there now? And he himself said, yes, now we can go ahead. But you know what he did? Instead of adhering to what we said, he went and printed at GPPC. So he printed, the order we told him not to do so, he went and printed it and he could not pay. That led to everything, all the problem we are having with GPPC. Because he printed it, knowing fully well that he had no money for it, and up to date we are owing them money to pay that. And those tickets are still lying there, we could not collect it because we don't have the money to pay it. And the consequences of that is that we ended up owing enough money to a point that GPPC said, and this is the point he went on, the revenue collection, on the order, on his reaction on Friday. He said the GPPC one was misrepresented because he said he paid 148. He was owing GPPC $1 million or $880,000. That's what he was owing at the time. He took 148,000 to them. And those people said, no, we are not giving you your tickets because you're owing us 887. You need to make a substantial payment, not 148. Instead of paying the more money that is required, he went on to give priority to maintenance or the servicing of his vehicle. And I think people have heard what he said. He said because he had given priority to other things prior to that, and the fact that he was relying on friends to drop him from work and back to work, therefore, he had to give priority to the servicing of his vehicle. But we told him prior to that, don't print those tickets there. We could print them at IT, and it's cheaper. If he had known that, we would not have gotten ourselves into that problem with GPPC of owing them that huge lot of money. But he didn't listen. He went and did that. So that is his whole point. Now he said it's a ministerial executive order. One of the things he failed to understand is that ministerial orders are not law. They are not law. They are just executive orders. If the minister wants to make it law, he will go to Parliament and pass it as a law, and then it applies to us. But if the minister doesn't say it, and then make executive orders and then tell us to do that, we will say, no, we're not answerable to you in the first place. Our law said under Section 124 of the Local Government Act, it says we are answerable to our electorate, not you. And that's what it says. We are answerable to our electorates and then the parliament. It says, the law said we come to you when we have a budget with our emolument and salaries for you to approve, or when we need other help, we come to you, but we are not answerable to you. So you cannot sit there, make directives, and then you said it has to apply to us. The same thing he did with us when he came to traveling. He said there was a government travel ban. It applies to. We said no. That applies to you and your team. It doesn't apply to us. We are councillors. We are not. It doesn't. They don't tell us what to do. We run our own budget lines. So you see. So that explains that part. So Jonga mislead people on that front, that we went against ministerial orders. He is still up to date, has not shown us that ministerial order, which says that we have to. And he went on to say, I think he said this was since 2018. How can ministerial order since 2018 be still applying to us? It just doesn't make any sense. But what the minister is saying and what the GPPC Act is even saying are different. That says if you can do internally, but if you cannot do internally, you have to give priority to GPPC. So that is a baseless allegation. Then he went on to revenue collection. He said General Council passed a resolution empowering compliance officers to collect, and he went on to Section 120. Again, he doesn't understand Section 120, because Section 120, this is what Section 120 says. And we will read that, for maybe because he's probably watching, so that he understands what Section 120 says. Section 120, subsection 1, says a council shall, in the case of an officer employed by it, whether under this or any other enactment, who by reason of his or her employment is likely to be entrusted with the custody or control of money, take such security for the faithful execution of his or her duty, and for his or her duly accounting of all money, property, which may be entrusted to him or her, as the council may consider sufficient. That's what it says with employees of council shall take those measures. But Section 122 says when they are not employees, a council may. The law is very clear there. You may. When you hear these languages or words used in legal jargon, it gives discretion of the person. It gives them a discretion. So it's your discretion. If you want, you take it or take such measures. If you do not want, you do not. Because it says you may. You may do this or you may not do that. You know what I mean? But when it says you shall do it or you must do it, that is, it is commanding you to do it. You don't have a discretion anymore. So it says when it is in case of our staffs, we have to take those measures. But when it is not a staff, it's a discretion. You can do it or you don't do it. And you can understand why the lawgiver brought it in that way. Because when it is not yourself, you are depending on that person's help. And if you are depending on the person's help, you want to bring cumbersome burdens on that person. The person can say, you know what, I'm not doing it. Because I'm not even your staff. I'm not providing you this and that. But you need that person's help. That is why that room is accommodated. But in any event, people that we entrusted to collect, all sort of measures are in place to make sure they don't pilfer. Because A, we provide them security. B, we provide them, provide them with compliance officers. And they also are providing that money. And they don't collect more than 20, 30,000 without banking it in the banks. So, and then also these are people recommended by councillors. So there's all sort of reason to trust them. But if needs be, you always learn. If needs be, 1, 2, 3, we could secure other things from them as collaterals and security. We have that discretion. It is given to us, but it is not a must. And that's what he failed to understand. So he said we are in breach of Section 120. My response is, and the response of this council is, no, we are not in breach of 120, because 120 says it is our discretion. Yeah? So the next one, he says signatures. He says he alleged that in the absence of a formal final decisions of the Local Government Service Commission on the recommendation of General Counsel on November 1st, the chairman acted unlawfully to instruct the banks without administrative authority to change the current signatories to our council account. He doesn't understand. This council, the accounts to this council are not in Modu Jeng's name or Modu Jonga's name. All the accounts are in the name of Brikama Area Council. The law said the council is made up of the chairman, elected councillors, and nominated councillors. And the accounts are in our name. If we want, we can move his name from there. And that is in our discretion. If we don't trust Jeng to be our signatory to our account, we remove him, we put someone else there. If we do not trust Jonga to be a signatory, we remove him and put someone there. That is our discretion. That is council. The banks are in our account. So when the council made a resolution that they want Jonga out, they took it, they are very serious about that. They took the decision that they don't want him to be signing their documents anymore. And that's exactly what we communicated to the banks. We told the banks, here is the General Council resolution. Here are the councillors who signed it. They said they do not want Jonga as their CEO. And as such, he shouldn't be signing their bank statements and all that. That's what we communicated. He said we acted unlawfully. I don't know under what law have we acted or we contravened in that. But this is the false narrative that Jonga wants to depict out there. So we go on to the next part where he said, this is his response to Jar Oil loan. So he said that they took the loan of 2.5 million at Jar Oil to pay salaries for November 2022. That's what he says. So two things he is admitting here. A, council salaries are not more than 2.5 million. That becomes clear now. And this is relevant, and I will get to that, why that is relevant here. So, secondly, he took the loan without council resolution, without council being aware of it, without the blessing of the council. He made that decision on his own. Secondly, he accused us at the beginning. He said we were in breach of Section 13(1) and 504 of the Financial Manual because he said we paid 148 honorarium, which is not budgeted. That's what he said. He said we paid that to 49 compliance officers, and that was in contravention of Section 13(1) of the Finance and Audit Act of Local Government Finance and Audit Act. But he is now admitting here that he took a loan of 2.5 million from Jar Oil and then paid staff salary for November 2022. The question is, was that also budgeted? In his budget, when he was doing for 2022, did he say, I put 2.5 million as a loan I will be taking from Jar Oil when I run out of salary? It's not. So he is admitting to the very offense he is accusing us of doing. That is his own admission here. He said, I took that money because it was a loan. But you did not budget it. It was not part of your 2022 budget. So you acted in contravention of Section 13, that which you they said if you live in a glass house, you don't throw stones. He was throwing aspersions at us of the very thing that he is now admitting to have committed. He took 2.5 million. But not only that, he also went on, said CEO Jonga said, I can confirm that the sum of 33 million has been received for the period of July 2019 to December 2022, and I have formally acknowledged receipt of these payments into our accounts as a demonstration of transparency and accountability. This one is really, really funny because the councillors are here. And then if I go through the council minutes here, from the 22nd, we have been demanding the CEO to tell us what has happened to our geology funds. And Honorable Chare is here. And I think Chara will elaborate on that, because Honorable Chara went to the CEO several occasions to say to him, look, are these geology funds there or not? He said they are there. In his own encounter with us, the council on the 27th of July, this is council minutes, our sitting minutes. It says, considering the time this particular issue, geology, it says update on geology and royalty funds. Considering the time this particular issue consumed and clouds surrounding the fund, his office will formally engage the Department of Geology to provide them with information on how much money was paid as royalty to BAC and to which account these payments were made, Honorable Chairman stated. He urged the CEO to give a clear update on the funds as to the availability of the funds and to which account those funds were being kept. Honorable Chairman emphatically emphasized that this fund cannot go into the thin air, as the Council is willingly ready to reach the climax to unearth the whole truth surrounding these funds. It went on, it says, CEO stated that $7 million of the fund was kept in the Eco Bank and $2 million is at the Access Bank. However, the amount at Eco Bank was used as collateral to enable to attain to operational expenditure of the council, and a certificate to that was obtained, he reported. At the moment, fund at Eco Bank can only pay forwards, while the rest will be paid from the Access Bank account. He concluded urging members to grant approval for disbursement of the fund to beneficiaries, as he already processed the RPGs forms through which all payments shall be effected, he said. Honorable Chairman concluded the CEO's explanation of the fund was insufficient and further request CEO to provide evidence to substantiate his submission. Members expressed their disappointment for CEO's failure to disburse the fund on the stipulated date as resolution, and many concluded that the fund was not available contrary to his report. Councillor Boto Bojam proposed for sending both CEO and Director of Finance to the administrative leave by a council resolution and to continue investigating the issues surrounding the fund. His proposal was supported by members, however, upon CEO's plea before members to grant him approval for disbursal, Honorable Chairman prevailed on members to accord him the last opportunity for the benefit of the doubt. So this was what was happening, but the CEO said he has been accounting this to us. But you see the lie that he also made, the false narrative he also gave was that he said the CEO said, he said transparency and accountability. That never exists anyway. He went on to say, over the period, the sum of 11,868,435.97 had been disbursed to Kafuta, Jiboro, Pirang, Kembuje, and then Bullock and Sanyang, each receiving a sum of 1,014,285 in July 2023. This wasn't even July 2023. It was in August. But even that, he cannot tell the truth. You know, it was in August 8th to be precise, that's when the payments were made, August 8th. But not only that, he said, in addition, Jonga added that in 2021, the sum of 3.8 million was paid. So when you add the 11 plus the 3.8, you get something like 15 million. This is the biggest false, misleading statement anybody could have made. 2021, Jonga paid 3.8 million, that's it. 2023, he paid only 9 million. You add that together, you get 11 point something. It's not like he paid 11 point something and then 3 point something. That is just not true. All he paid up to now is 11.868,435. Jonga never told us that he received 33 million from the ministry. He never told us that. In fact, if anything he has been telling us is that he only received 21 million. 21 million. That's all he said he had received all these years. And that is what this council had been led to believe all these years. But you see, when the ministry's letter came, what the ministry told us was this. In 2020, on the 20th of May 2020, they paid Brikama Area Council 7.8 million. For geology, these geology funds are not revenued. They're not council revenue to start with. They are funds that are given to council to reparate, to compensate wards that are affected by mining. The council of a Bullock ward will tell you of an incident where youths of Bullock were going to stop the vehicles from mining there, from collecting gravel there, simply because they said they are not getting anything back. And that despite all the pollution and everything, that environmental degradation that was doing to their region. That's what this money was supposed to go back to and compensate those people so that they can utilize that money into some other things in the region for development and ameliorate and mitigate the damage that is caused by mining in their region. This money came 7.8 million in 2020. Jonga didn't pay a dime to these people. He kept the whole money here. What happened to that money? He's been telling us that that money was in the accounts. He said specifically the money was in an EcoBank account. That's what he told us. It was in an investment in EcoBank audit trail account. On the 21st of January, Ministry paid 4.7 million in geology to BAC. On the 12th of October, they paid 1.3 million. On the 26th of October, these are all 2021, they paid another 4.16 million. When you add it together, 10 million was paid by the 27th of October 2021. By the 26th of October 2021, 10 million was paid in addition to 7.8 million that was paid in 2020. When you add it together, 18 million was received by that date. And all that Jonga did, by his own admission, he paid only 3.8 in 2021. Only 3.8 million was what he paid. Why did he pay 3.8 million when he was in receipt of 18 million? And that money was not council's money, but it was for the wards that are affected by mining. Why didn't he give it to those wards? But he sat on that money here. 2022, Geology gave him 13 million. In addition to that money, now Jonga, from this newspaper interview, he said he spent 21,506,734.95 was spent on the implementation of 4 important access roads within Brikama. Brikama wasn't even part of the communities or wards that are supposed to benefit from this. Brikama wasn't even part of it. Who did Jonga get the blessing or authority from to spend that money? And also, these monies were never even budgeted. They were not part of his budget line. And he never told us this council. He said transparency and accountability. My colleagues are here. Maybe he told them when I was in my absence. But I never remember Jonga telling us that he spent 21 million of the geology fund on the road access here. It was never supposed to be spent. That those roads, the road works were all budgeted. So that means for the last 4 years, BAC has never spent a penny of its own or a button of its revenue on any development work here. In fact, what they did is they spent the geology money to develop the access roads, the little work that they keep saying they have done in Westport. So, I mean, I don't know where to even start because the lies are that so much that it is incredible for anyone to believe. How can the CEO, who is saying that people should not spend beyond their budget, took money that is coming from geology, which is not even part of his budget? Because as you see, geology, the money was going, it's unpredictable. It is determined by their side. But what is even funny, geology said 3 million of that money was an overpayment, which should not have been used, it should have been returned. But Jonga is saying, I spent it on road construction. But you know what is even funny? You know what is even funny? The road constructions happened in 2020, 2021. This geology, the huge chunk of it came in 2022. 13 million plus came in 2022. To be precise, it came in some part of it was paid in June this year, 2023. And then 2020, but he wants us to believe that he spent all of that in the road construction. He said 21 million of that because he already disbursed 13 plus 11 plus 3. That makes it 15. And then the remaining 21 million was spent on road construction in Brikama. But half of that payment, according to Geology, according to the ministry's document, the last payment was made on the 12th of June, 2023. And the other one was 17 October 2022 and 27 October 2022. So the question is, how was he able to spend that which was paid in June 2023 in 2021? He reversed the clock. But that tells you what we are dealing with. We're dealing with...
The letter was sent to you.
In fact, the letter was sent to me, but he decided to withhold on the letter until Geology had to provide me a copy before we get our own copy. And the letter, funny enough, was addressed to the chairman. Geology only were CC'd into that letter. But they got theirs on the 25th, while I got mine on the 31st. When he knew that we already got this from Geology. So this is the sort of person we are dealing with. So the other one, before my presentation finished, he said, withdrawals in 2023. He said, Jonga said, only the sum of 8.9 million, 8,902,272.44 was withdrawn for the period of January to June 2023 and not over 50 million as claimed in the resolution. I think this one, he probably must have been drunk. He couldn't have been with his full conscience to make such a claim. Maybe Standard misquoted him, to tell you the truth. I would want to believe that. Because I have a copy of our Eco Bank here. I think your cameras can zoom in and even take a picture of it. Eco Bank, the bank gives you the full summary at the top here. If you look at the summary, it says our opening balance was minus 5.5 million. Our closing balance was minus 6.3 million as at 30th of June. So from January, 1st of January 2023 to 30th of June 2023, it says the total amount that came in, total deposit that was entered into our account was $16,849,317 came into that account alone. And it says within that period, total withdrawals was $61,687,150, 37 bututs. If Jonga tells you that only 8 million is withdrawn in our account, what is he referring to as 8 million? Because this is just the Eco Bank. And by the way, we have 11 accounts. So if Eco Bank withdrawal is 60 million, this 8 million that he is talking about, where is that referred? Which bank is he referring to? Because I have brought only 2 bank accounts, and that is Eco Bank, and then the other bank is Guarantee Trust Bank. Vista, I didn't even print that one out, because the reason why I did not print that one out, because it's difficult for me to do the calculation on those ones. But these other 2, I brought them because they give you a tally at the bottom of it. Eco Bank, it gives you at the top, and then GT, no, not that one. GT Bank, this is the GT Bank. So GT Bank, if you look at the bank statements here, you go down at the bottom, it will tell you how much money was credited, the total that is credited on one page. Each page will give you, and then you get the final at the bottom of it. So when you go as at the 30th of June, it says the total amount that is credited in that account was $8,533,082.32, and the total withdrawal was $8,364,601. Maybe this is the one he's referring to. Because that 8 million now plus the withdrawals that are made in this account, you realize that almost 61 million is withdrawn here, 686 plus 8 million something. You get almost 70 million is withdrawn between those two accounts alone. Other accounts we have not even calculated. So if he says 8 million, only 8,900,000 and something, that is just not true. And the accounts are here. And this is clearly, it says statement period. If you look at the statement period, it said from the 1st of January 2023 to 30th of June 2023, 60 million is withdrawn in the EcoBank account. And this other account, 8 million is withdrawn plus. Add them together, you get almost 70 million. So he blatantly wants to say, in fact, what he failed to understand is we were not talking about the amount that is withdrawn. Because when we put all the accounts together, you would find that Vista, Access, and then Zenith, and then you talk about the Trust Bank. It's a lot of money. It's over 100 million plus that was withdrawn. What we are talking about, the 50 million, is the withdrawals that have not been justified. It means these are withdrawals that were not backed by vouchers. They were not backed by any explanation as to what those payments were for. So you just see it there like, this is withdrawn, this amount is withdrawn, and you don't know what that withdrawal was for. That is what we are saying. Because remember I said to you what Jonga said about the jar oil money. He said we took 2.5 million for our salaries. Salaries are 2.5 million, indeed. If you're spending 2.5 million on salaries, just think about it. You made a withdrawal of 60, almost 70 million in two accounts between January to June. That certainly cannot be about salaries, because 2.5 by 6, that is 15 million. You are meant to spend only 15 million on salaries. You could not have spent 15 out of almost 70. You're talking about 55 million now disappearing in thin air. What have you spent it on that? What have you spent it on? That is the question. That's what we've been telling him. And he could not bring that evidence, and all he's doing is trying to distract the public, trying to tell the public that actually they did this, they did that, they did this, which is in contravention. But he is spending money that which is not budgeted. Who is guilty of that offense than Modu Jonga himself? So the last but not least, he said about the appointment of, he said Omar Sadiq and Malik Jeng and Suleiman Jeng, this is the Jeng clan. He said these people were respectively appointed by the Service Commission in 2012 and 2014, and not me. For his information, I bet he is watching, Service Commission stopped or ended in 2012. How were they able to appoint in 2014? You see what I'm saying? If they ceased to exist in 2012, how were they able to appoint in 2014? But those ones, Shirfo will elucidate on that, because in fact, most of them, the offer of the appointment is given by Jonga. The appointment letters are all authorized by one man, Jonga. Appointments in the council are usually done by Establishment and Appointment Committee of Council. CEO only implements when those people say, we have taken so-and-so person for a job. And that is to a certain grade. Beyond that, the appointment is done by Service Commission, and it comes and he effected. But in here, the CEO has been the one individual who's been appointing a whole family into council, even appointing ghost workers, people who have just been appointed and they are not working for us. That is what has been happening. But he is confronted with that truth. He finds it difficult to handle it. He tries to mislead and fool everybody. But let me make this clear to him. The days of fooling people is over. Evidence is here. And this council, whenever you try to mislead, we will come at every given point and every given opportunity to clarify it with evidence. This is his own record. He gave it to the public, and the evidence says otherwise. everything he told Standard was just misleading, false, and nothing but false. So I'm going to let Honorable Chare to... So the land transfer document, that is something we also said. And he did not say anything about that, but we have the evidence here. You would see in the evidence that we have, the previous land transfers, they are here, they always have, you would have the CEO would approve it, and it would be endorsed by the chairman of BAC. That's how land transfers are always done. That's how they've always been done here. But when they were increased to 7,000, like this year, this is the new one. It's only approved by CEO Jonga. And the chairman doesn't even know that he is doing this because he doesn't tell anybody. Those 7,000 that are being paid to BAC, you can imagine how many lands get transferred in BAC. Because all the lands, in fact, that are transferring in this country are all happening in West Coast region. See, we have so many estates doing transfers, people buying and selling left, right, and center everywhere. Yes, 7,000. You see, 7,000 is more. They are paying a lot more. But on his documents, he's only having 7,000.
It's more than a year. What are you saying?
Not only this year, exactly. So we don't even know. Yeah, so we don't know. But Jonga is the only person signing this document. And remember what Jonga said, I am transparent and accountable, he said. He is transparent and accountable. If you're transparent and accountable, why would you just have only your name as signing these things? And you omit this, and you know what is funny? He did this without even telling the members of this council or the previous council, because I don't think the previous council were ever informed of this. Neither the current council. We didn't know. In fact, I was there, the vice chairman came with this. He said, Chairman, did you know that Jonga is signing this land transfers on his own? I said, but how is that possible? I said to him, that's why all the ones that I am signing are those of the past. I keep signing for Sunkar Baji, I keep signing for Bakar Saibo, I keep signing for, but I never seen the one for Sirifo and Jonga. So on the whole, Jonga was the only person doing it. And how do we hold them accountable of this? All this money, because we are told that the amount of money that is coming on land transfer alone to BAC should be sufficient to pay all of our development needs as well as our recurrent needs. Yes. Only 30 million. Only 30 million came the whole of this year. But in the accounts, it's showing 60 million, 70 million coming into account. So the amount of fraud that Jonga, the person who said, I have dedicated all my life in BAC, I have rose through the ranks, I have done this, I have done that, but it has nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it, because he's been sitting on a kabudu and a cabal that was just defrauding our wealth and our money and everything. That's why we said we had enough of it. But this is the sort of person Service Commissioner sent to BAC, to the people of BAC. That is the sort of person. A person who wouldn't mind to mislead the whole country, to mislead the whole council, to mislead the whole region on facts that are within his own knowledge, facts that are within his own custody. That is the CEO. That is the person who wants to show off that he is the chief executive officer of BAC. That is sad. For a region of the biggest region in this country, biggest region with so many people who depend on the service of this council. But you have such a clown, a buffoon, leading it, and pilfering all of his wealth, all of its money. You know, we get told about the affluent and the superficial lifestyle this man had lived. When you hear some of the stories, it's just incredible. You know, his compound in Jalambang is all tiled outside, with security, whole lot of things. Doesn't want anyone to see what goes inside. It's all simply because all of that wealth came from BAC. When I came into the office, they sent a voucher. They call it, they use a software called IFMIST. And they said for the use of that IFMIST, they are entitled to allowances. That allowance, when they made the claim, Jonga is supposed to get 13,500 every month. I looked at that one, I said to them, they never came back for that one still, because it's still on my desk. Because after I said to them, I said, how can you justify this? You are using a software and you want to be paid for using that software. That document is also here.
Only few of them.
And only few of them were claiming that much money. And it's never resoluted. And they've been, in fact, it's here. That is the document. It was meant to be signed by me for $61,000 every month. They're supposed to be getting it. So the document is here. It's a payment voucher. And that payment voucher, I will read what they said, what the claim was based on. It says, I hereby wish to claim for the payment of IFMIS allowance for the month of June for the following staff of BAC. Modu Jonga, CEO, 13,500. Alaji Jeng, DFS, Director of Finance, 12,500. Suleiman Bari, Internal Auditor, 5,000. Omar Sedikan, Jeng's in-law, 7,500. Yaya Ba, Finance Manager, 7,500. Brahma Sawane, Admin Director, 5,000. Bagar Sedi, IT Officer, 5,000. Aissatou Sise, the wife of Umar Sedikan, 5,000. I count on your usual cooperation and approval. I said no. I said no. You cannot count on my usual cooperation and approval on that. But they've been paying this just to themselves from January, from God knows when. They've been paying to themselves. Yeah. They've been paying themselves this amount of money. You know, this is how they waste council money. So when he said, I am aggressive, I don't like them, and I am very, he knows what is happening. How can you be pilfering this kind of money just for using a software? And then the rest of the people, and this is after they put their own salaries so high up there, they claim all these other things. When they come to sit with council, even though they are not councillors, they still claim they are 2,500. When they have their senior staff meeting, they still claim they are 2,500. They keep claiming. You wonder why people of West Coast have not. So yes, if he said we spend 1-point-something million to clean the flooded markets and the streets for people of West Coast, we are really proud of that. We are proud to spend something back to the people of West Coast. And you know, this is not only chairman doing this. I could not have been able to do any of these things without these honorable councillors. They are very honorable. In every one of the steps, every steps we've taken, when we want to introduce something that is for the benefit of the council, Jonga and his team will engage in politics. They want to sway our councillors from one side to another side, and they said, no, we're not accepting that. What you're doing is wrong. And that's why, as a council of so many political parties, we stick together and we said, for the best interest of our people, we have been able to achieve and been able to take the bold step finally to say, off and go CEO Jonga, off and go Director Alaji Jeng, and every one of your cabal. This region is too big with so many families. One family cannot be a royal family to us. And we refuse to accept it, and that's what we have done. So CEO Jonga, whatever he said in the standard, we have clarified it. They are all nothing but malicious, false allegations. leveled against this council, which there is no basis, no iota of truth in any of them. That is my presentation. I would pass it to the Honorable Councillor Mochare Jiba, who is also the chair of the Establishment and Appointment Committee, to also say a few things. Honorable.
I must say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone. Once again, good afternoon, ladies of the press and also gentlemen of the press. Good afternoon, my colleague councillors present here. I am Honorable Mamadou Chare Jiba, the chairman of the Establishment Committee. This committee is directly responsible for staff matters. Anything that has to do with the staff, it is this committee that looks into that matter and advises the council appropriately. And for me, I'm not going to delve too much into the various issues that the chairman has already highlighted, simply because immediately after this meeting, the Establishment and Appointment Committee is convening an emergency session to wrap everything and to convey our stance as far as this matter is concerned to the Service Commission. So being the case, I think I just want to clarify one or two things here. Hence, we're going to have our detailed meetings on all the issues that have been touched by the chairman. For me, I believe that the chairman is not only misleading the general public, the CEO. Yes, sorry for that. I believe he is not only misleading us. The CEO, Mamadou Jonga, is not only misleading the public, but Mr. Jonga is showing that he is dishonest and paranoid. Because most of the issues that have been highlighted by the Honorable Chairman here have documentary evidences that can be shown to any rational person. Well, let me just highlight one or two things. The issues of the chairman interfering in staff matters is false. It's false because, in the first place, the chairman has not even attended any of our meetings. All staff matters are dealt by our committee exclusively. The issue of the Jam family, like the chairman has already said, that they claim to have been appointed into Brikama Area Council in 2012 or 2014. But the Establishment Committee took his time to visit all the staff files, and we interacted with all the staff, from the CEO to Director of Admin to Jonga, to Director of Finance, all the senior staff, one by one. We discussed a lot. We visited their files. But this young family, to our surprise, it is lacking sufficient documentary details with regards to the employment. No application letters and no other sufficient details to suggest that they have been legally and correctly employed. That is left to be seen. But the issue of Baised Jeng and the one Mamadou Ibrahim Jallo, their names are seen on our payroll. These people have never been our staff. The Baised Jeng, who is the son of the Director of Finance, his letter to be employed or to be recruited has been seen by the CEO, Jonga. When this matter surfaced at the Finance Committee's level, we were informed. I personally engaged the CEO on the matter. He said and confessed that he saw this letter at the Secretariat, but he advised the Director of Admin to tear that letter because we were not doing a recruitment at that time. So he said he was surprised to hear that Baised Jeng was captured, in the field, collecting our monies. I again engaged the Director of Admin. He also confessed. The son of Ibrahim Jallo also, the same person, that boy also, his name is on our payroll when he's on the staff. So where was the CEO in this matter? If at all he's really on top of the issues, where was he? See? And I don't think I should even get too much into that. Hence, we don't have much time, and many people may want to also give their contribution. The issue of the Geology Fund is my biggest surprise and my biggest disappointment. We have been chasing Jonga for these funds. And in fact, my first disappointment is we were only informed about 2 disbursements. That one, that is the 7 million and the 9.2 million. When there were other disbursements to council, which we are never privy to. We haven't been informed about them. So the 7 million was disbursed. This 9 point something also, we chased this money since before we went to elections. Day in, day night, different stories. Until before the election, I think that day I was with Honorable Boto, Honorable Diba, and I think even Honorable Bella was among. We went to the CEO. I asked CEO this question, which even the last time I repeated that statement here when we were passing that resolution. I asked him to tell us about these funds because I told him that I was hearing certain stories which I didn't want to believe in. Now let him tell me the truth. If at all this money were spent or we are nowhere to be seen, let him tell us and see what we can do. But he insists that these monies are there. Now he's coming to elections. Now after elections he will disburse this money. To my surprise, after the elections, we've been going back and forth, until we had to pass a resolution for him to disburse money or let them go for administrative leave. I was just devastated to know that these monies were never there. So let me just stop there, and then as long as we are going to have our own meeting, all the points that are raised by the CEO, we are treating them one by one to show how dishonest and how misleading he is.
Indeed.
So based on that, let me just give you time to other speakers. Thank you all for your time.
Good afternoon to the chairman, vice chairman, members of the council, and the media. I want to make some clarification on the issue of the allowances that the CEO has made mention and that the chairman was not in picture of it. This is the allowances that were met by this council, current council. And he had made mention of the council raising from 6,500 to 15,000. When we came in 2018, I am a second-term councillor in the Brikama area council here. When we came in 2018, the budget that we have met here, the former council that has prepared that budget before us was $6,500. That was what we were running on until at the end of the year 2018. 2019 came, the finance committee members under this finance department were set over the budget as usually it has been done, as I was also part of the finance committee members and currently the secretary to finance committee. We decided that amount is so small for council members to go home with, looking at the responsibilities that we have. So we decided to raise that amount from $6,500 to $10,000. That is 2019, commencing 2019. And that amount was embedded in the budget, and it went to the ministry for a bilateral, and there was no comment, no observation made by the ministry. Looking at that one, silence means what? Consent. Consent, yes. That was what we have been paid from 2019. 2019 up to an year, was it 2020? When there was an increment of 30%. When the increment of 30% came, that was a communique that comes from the line ministry informing the staffs, the CEO, that the council also should benefit from the 30%, from the staff up to the councillors. That is what raised our allowances from 10,000 to 13,000. It was not 13,000. The increment of 10%, that is what gives us $13,000. 2022, when we are drawing the budget, we said there's supposed to be an increment of 2,000 in the allowance, councillors' allowance. That is what is embedded in the 2023 budget. I was a member of the finance committee, and a part of these council members who were advocating for the CEO to pay the members $15,000. He said he did not receive a communique from the ministry, line ministry, where the budget has went through a bilateral and it has passed that stage. What communique do you need? And let me tell the media one thing. The councillors who were here and that did not make it to come back again, those councillors are still following their $2,000 because they were part of those $15,000 and they were paid only $13,000, a balance of $2,000 each from January 2023, February, March, April, May. If we receive our allowances for May, this current did not receive their allowances. Those people are still demanding for their $10,000, which is nowhere to be seen. We did not receive that one. It's because of what the chairman is saying. The CEO is the alpha and omega of this council. And I have been advocating for that one here. Looking at the jar oil loan that has been taken, as a member of previous finance committee members, it has never come to our knowledge that this council has taken a loan of 2.5 million for salary. And it's against the local government finance audit acts, because it's the finance committee that should have come to the chambers to give this proposal to the members, and that they passed a resolution for the council to go in for a loan, which has never been done. Then if the CEO is saying we are contradicting the Finance Act, where does he have the powers to have this loan? Who gave him the powers to take this loan? The most disappointing thing that I have, and I always said it in the chambers here, I have been haunted by my electorate. This council, the former council, has made a budget of 500,000 for ward allocation for each ward. Could you imagine what? Since 2019, we put that $500,000. Only 10 wards out of the 28 benefited. The 18 wards are yet to benefit this 500,000, which amounts to $9 million. I was part of those victims. My electorates, when I was going for campaign, they even said I was given $500,000 and I invested it, which was not happening. The justification for the CEO why he is not giving us is the 10 wards, out of the 10 wards, only 3 or 4 councillors has executed the project. That's why the 18 councillors could not have that 500,000. Is that the justification? No. I told them here at the council chambers here, in one of the sittings, the council is having capital project, which the council, this office of the CEO is implementing. Those projects have failed, but they are going in for other projects. Why are they depriving the councillors from having their 500? Exactly. My ward and the Bantanja ward, that is Foni Jaron, Wasedu ward, and Bantanja ward in Bondali constituency, benefited council capital project of 2 boreholes. Could you imagine what? From 2019 up to date, it's only Wasedu ward that has been completed around 2002. Bantanja ward is still yet to be completed. He is the type of CEO that we have. The councillor has been running one after the other in this office, every day, in and out. He even came one of the day with his member of parliament here. The CEO was giving them false information. Still now does. And that, could you imagine what? The borehole where it has been dug, there is a community that is prone of accidents. There is a bend, a serious bend, Kawali. The project is yet to be completed. It's only one side that is having the taps. The other side did not have because of what the road cut. Now, children and the women has to cross and get water. Is that safe? Not safe. Is the CEO mentioning this to the standard? No. I said to myself, when I see these reports, the chairman presented this report of $50 million have been withdrawn. I said, what? Out of this $15 million, why the people of West Coast, 18 wards could not have their $9 million? This was the justification why I said I will be part and parcel of people that are going to send the CEO out of this council here. We don't want to work with a CEO who doesn't want to be responsive to his taxpayers. The Honorable Chairman had made mention of this. When I was coming, I am elected member of APRC. We are not looking at partisan politics here. We are representing the people of West Coast. Indeed. Therefore, whatsoever we are going to do is going to reflect on our career. So therefore, the CEO, I personally, I said, I don't know who advised him. He should have left the sleeping dogs alive. That is my statement that I want to make.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, Honorable Chairman, colleague councillors, friends from the media. We welcome you all again to BAC press conference concerning the allegation or statement from our former CEO, Modu Jonga, on the issues related before. Well, here concern, what I want to put before everyone is the National Audit Report. That's the financial statement and report for the year ending 2020, 2019, and 2021 for Brikama Area Council.
These are documents that were never laid before the council, and it's a mandate that they should be laid before the council. But just not to talk on everything or highlight everything, but just on small issues that members of this council or the former council will really understand what was going on in this council. According to this audit report, that's the financial statement from the national audit, our administration, which is headed by the CEO, Jonga, informed guys that in 2019, the World Development Fund, that was the World Development Allocation, in 2019, they said they paid $3,514,800 was paid for World Development Fund. But in reality, I was part of that committee. In 2019, only 2.5 million was paid. Each ward was paid 500,000, and the wards that were paid was Kato ward, Gunjur ward, Block ward, Jiboro ward, and Suba ward. And these five together is 2.5. It cannot be 3.514800 million. I don't know where the figures come from. This is one aspect that realistically things were not going very fine. The issue of the royalties, I just want to quote on only two issues. The royalties, as mentioned by the chairman, are not council's fund. They are funds for wards that are affected so that they can imply back such funds to the ward, to the villages or to the ward that is affected. But looking at the geology fund that was paid in 2020, which was 7,888,198.17, according to this report, they captured it as rent and fees. The second one was in 2021, $5,945,039.40 butut was also paid in 2021, and this is also captured as rent and fees, according to the financial report. And this is supposed not to be the fund of the council, neither for the fund to be used for the construction of the route in Brikama that linked Methodist to the health center. That was never true. Again, according to the same document, if you look at the, they requested certain documents from them, because if you look at our previous sessions, we're talking of payment of vouchers. The same national audit says they requested payment vouchers from these people and it was not submitted. Unpresented payment vouchers. If you open on these, if you look at the national audit, that is on page 38. It talks about unpresented deposit slips. Sorry. The national audit, page 53. It said 2.6, non-submission of financial records. Unpresented collector's cash book, this was never put before the council. Unpresented cash books, bank reconciliation statements and financial statements. Unpresented payment vouchers, unpresented deposit slips, unpresented canteen registered, unpresented personal files, unproduced contract documents. And if you look at the contract documents, it talks about the two boreholes that Honorable Molamin just spoke about. It says drilling of two boreholes. That was in Foni. The council entered into a contract with plumbing drilling for two borehole community Arangol Kunda and Kanjibat and Kanwali Foni Bondali. Then finance. So I might not read everything because time is just not there, but you can check on it.
They said they spent.
Yeah, they spent $1,054,200 on two boreholes. That's the drilling of two boreholes. So if you look in this document, it will show you so many other things. And also the current contract or the contract that was signed, I think 2020, that's the boxbar frontage that everybody, when passing, you normally sees. All those things were highlighted by this national audit that these people are not doing exactly what they need to do, incomplete works, then even in that work, deviation of work specification, things that council agreed on for that works to be done, the administration went and deviated on that work specification. And if you go to this document, that's the national audit on financial statement and report for the year ended 31st December 2020 and 2021, will tell you everything what this council was doing. This document, we have this on our own ways, not produced by the council, and it was never laid before the council. So if you read this, you will see the corruptions, you will see the malfunctions, and you will see all kinds of incompetencies that this guy was going through. And as he was saying, he's not aware. How can you be a CEO of an institution and things happening, you said you are not aware of what is happening? Other issues are dealt with, and I think these are some of the things I will just stop at. And for that of development, I want to put in, for the whole of 2023, from January to date, there is no capital project that happened in West Coast region, apart from the services that the septic tanks are doing. And if you look at the budget of the council, the law said 60% of council revenue should go back to the public for their development needs. And that 60% is in the budget. But you will come to this council, cry, you will talk and everything, but because we were in politics, we are in campaign and other things, withdrawals were going as no one's business. From January to date, because currently you cannot even ask for a development, how to call it, project, because currently council is running very crazily, because what was being paid, that's supposed to keep the council in August, going down to December, was all spent from January to June. So obviously the council will crumble, and it is currently crawling to that level, even though the council is trying very well to take care of certain recurrents. Compared to other councils we all had, like Basay and others are not able to pay their staff for like 3 months or 4 months. Even though with all what they've been doing, but Brikama Area Council is, we can say we are proud that we paid our staff up to September. Yeah, just because we passed the threshold and we are controlling the flow of our income, the flow in and out of the income going to the council's account. And therefore, as the chairman said, I'm going to allude to the same thing. We're really thankful to the council members, from the chairman to councillors, everybody for that passing of the threshold, because that was a cry in Brikama Area Council here. I could recall vividly a committee from Brikama Area Council, that was the development subcommittee. Members from that committee, including myself, Honorable Usman Ba and Honorable Hamadi Tamba, we went on a tour to other councils to see how they're operating and succeeding. We took sample, like from KMC Masakongo. We went and we got to understand KMC is thriving because of the threshold. But we came with the threshold to this council in 2019, and I can recall vividly that the same Modu Jonga saying that's not our role and responsibility, and he was able to convince the then chairman that we should not accept that. And today, I am very proud as a member of that committee with my colleague in the former committee that what we yearned for from 2019 was today approved by this current council. Therefore, we are proud and thankful of it. I am speaking on behalf of my then chairman, that is Honorable Usman Ba, with my committee members, Honorable Hamadi Tamba. They are here. This was a frustration then, but today our thoughts, our ideas, or our everything has come to realities. Therefore, we thank this council for accepting that, and that threshold, same threshold, is making this council strive. Therefore, we're very happy as a former member of that development subcommittee. Thank you very much.
My name is Honorable Ismail Diallo, Councillor Suba Ward and the Vice Chairman of Brikama Area Council. I have a doubt that I need to clarify. That is, I read a statement from the Standard newspaper from Mr. Jonga saying that some of the funds from the Geology is used on road constructions. One thing I know about this road, because I'm also serving my second term in the council, these roads were bidded on 28th October 2020. And we went on site visit on the 7th. That is Hospital Road, that is 650 meters, Boxbar frontage, and Tammana Road. These three were done at the same time. This was budgeted, and it went to the Ministry for bilateral, and it was approved. So that was the monies that were used to do that job. If Jonga should come and tell us that the geology funds are what is used to construct the road, will be of surprise to me. And even if these geology funds are the funds that were used to construct these roads, which mandate does he have to do it single-handedly without following the due process, that is, seeking council's resolution? He is under the control and direction of the council. He is answerable to the council. We are answerable to our people and the National Assembly, and these people are taxpayers. So if he comes out and tells us that part of the geology fund is the money that is used to construct these roads, it's going to be of great surprise to me. When these monies are not meant to construct those roads, there are areas where this money needs to go. That is the affected areas, where the minings are done. The geology fund is meant for that. So that I want to clear the air, to tell the people that if Jonga used that money, meaning it has put the law into his own hands, and he has single-handed done it without the consent of the councillor, and that is against the law. Thank you.